Never perform a miracle without asking me first. Welcome to this new reading of a Course in Miracles Urtext. We are at the Miracles Principles, and we stopped last time at the Miracle Principle 27E, which is not even included in the Foundation for Inner Peace version. This one is my Spanish version here. These are called the dark blue version, whereby the second paragraph, 27E, is included in the sparkly edition. So it is actually quite interesting to read the different versions together to realize what has been taken out and why. As you know, there has been removed about 50,000 words from the Urtext version to the Foundation for Inner Peace version. And if you're starting with A Course in Miracles, this is perfectly okay to get into the Course in Miracles, to do your lessons and everything. It's also rather handy. But if you become serious and if you really want to become a teacher of A Course in Miracles, I definitely recommend that you study from the Urtext manuscripts as well. And this particular phrase, which is a long dialogue, which starts basically at Miracle Principle 28, which is the Miracle Principle 33 in the Foundation for Inner Peace version. It starts at 28 and then goes over to 28, 29, and then it's basically a whole page, all related to Miracle Principle 30, which has been cut down to like 2 paragraphs and put into one paragraph, which has been put in the Foundation for Inner Peace version. There's only just like one little paragraph which is included in the sparkly edition. So it's quite a long dialogue, which is particularly interesting. And the reason why this particular phrase got triggered in the mind of Helen Schuckman is because she woke up after writing down 27 and 28, and she woke up in the morning and that she felt bad. She felt that she had done that she has been mocking God. So this was like the first phrase that she received in her mind. And so this whole conversation which is going on here culminates in this particular phrase where it says, never perform a miracle without asking me if you should. And this particular part is also not in the Foundation for Inner Peace version, or not in this particular place. It might be in a different place somewhere else, but not as part of the Miracle 35. So let's get on with it, and I will give you a little bit more background as we get on. Just before we start, I want to lead the 27 again, the Miracle Principle 27, which is the Miracle Principle 32 in the Foundation for Inner Peace. So it goes like this: Christ inspires all miracles, which are essentially intercessions. They intercede for man's holiness and make him holy. They place man beyond the physical laws and raise him into the sphere of celestial order. In this order, man is perfect. Remember that level confusion is like when you remember that you are spirit. When we remember that we are celestial beings, if that is a word which you can relate to. But basically, spiritual or divine beings, then man is perfect. But when you forget that you are a spiritual being, then we become imperfect. And then it goes on to say, and this particular part is not in the Foundation for Inner Peace, it says, the soul never loses its communion with God. The soul never loses its communion with God. This is very important because I hear this in spiritual circles all the time. The soul needs to travel, the soul needs to experience. And this is wrong. This is misunderstanding what the soul, the word soul, is meant to transmit to us. It's meant to transmit to us that we are divine beings, that we are spirit, that we are soul. So the soul never loses its communion with God. Only the mind and body need atonement. The miracle joins in the atonement of Christ by placing the mind in the service of the spirit. this establishes the proper function of mind and abolishes its errors. So that is what we finished in the last reading together. By the way, welcome. My name is Judith, and this is a work which I am being driven to, and I'm going to comment to you also why it has taken me so long to continue on this journey together with you. So miracles honor man. This is the miracle principle 28, and this is number 33. This is number 33 in the Foundation for Inner Peace. But in the Foundation for Inner Peace, it says miracle honors you, whereby in the Sparkly edition it says the same: miracles honor man because he is lovable. And this is exactly the same identical sentence. And then there goes, they dispel illusions about himself and perceive the light in him. They thus atone for his errors by freeing him from his own nightmares. They release him from a prison in which he has imprisoned himself. And this is so incredibly important. And there are so many people and so many religions which are teaching to imprison our mind, not to question whether that's what we have come to understand, whether this is actually true. We need to question this constantly test these conclusions we have in our mind. This is one of the things which I have figured out through my lifetime. So the miracles, they release him from a prison in which he has imprisoned himself. By freeing his mind from illusions, they restore his sanity. And then it says, and place him at the feet of Jesus. This particular part is not at the feet of Jesus. This is not in the Sparkly edition, and this is not in the Sparkly edition, is not in the Foundation for Inner Peace version as well. And to be at his feet, then it goes on and it says in brackets. So this is something which then Helen has added to it. It is 28b. It says, biblical quotation regarding healing of devil-possessed man, in which the sufferer was subsequently found healed in his right mind and sitting at the feet of Jesus. This is a note from Helen. That's what she's adding to it. And then she goes on in the next bracket, which is 28c. She said, and the voice is telling her, tell Bill, man's mind can be possessed by illusions, but his spirit is eternally free. That is so wonderful, because that is actually very, very freeing, because it means that you have consistently connection to the freedom within. And that's why I'm doing Qigong, and that's why I'm teaching Qigong, and that's why I will be teaching A Course in Miracle Qigong teachers. This is my final project. This is where I really want to get to, is that we want to use these particular tools to become aware of our spirit. And Qi, really, which is a life force energy, this really is spirit. And so you want to connect yourself daily, several times a day, exactly as the Course in Miracles is teaching us, with the pureness of spirit. So you can do this with your mind alone, or you can use the body to do it. You can use the breath to do it, just by simply breathing deeply inwards, or you can do it by movement as well, visualization. It's basically when you use all those different aspects of this physical experience. If you use all those different aspects, which is breath, visualization, the mind, the movement, to remind yourself consistently that you are actually spirit. And if you are spirit, so is every other person you can possibly think of or meet. Basically anybody who is in your thoughts. Anybody is also spirit. It's just that they have forgotten. So let's have a look what this says here. So tell Bill, man's mind can be possessed by illusions, but his spirit is eternally free. If a mind creates without love, it can create an empty shell. This can be possessed by evil, but the atonement restores the soul to its proper place. Unless there is emptiness, there is no danger. And emptiness is a false creation. The mind that serves the spirit is invulnerable. So that is also in brackets. So that is not in any of the other versions. It's only here. And in these dialogues, I find so interesting, is because they are helping us with those same doubts which Helen had or Bill had. Their voice is kind of answering it, and it's amazing that she had this capacity to hear this voice within herself. And that's of course what we want to achieve as well. And this whole course is teaching us, is showing us, well, you can do that too. So then we go into Miracle Principle 29 in the Urtext, which is Miracle Principle 34 in the Sparkly edition, and also the Miracle Principle 34 in the Foundation for Inner Peace. So it says the miracle restores the soul to its fullness. Let me have a look. 34? Yeah. Miracles. So the miracle restores the soul to its fullness. By atoning for the lack, it establishes perfect protection. And so now it also understands why. It's because of that dialogue before. The miracle restores the soul to its fullness. By atoning for lack, it establishes perfect protection. The strength of the soul leaves no room for intrusions. And that's it. That is what was included in the Foundation for Inner Peace. That was lesson 34. Nothing more comes after. And whereby in the Foundation, in the Sparkly edition, there is the second sentence added to it. It says here, the forgiven are filled with the soul. The forgiven are filled with the soul, and their soul forgives in return. It is the duty of the released to release their brothers. Okay, so the forgiven are filled with the soul, and their soul forgives in return. It is the duty of the released to release their brothers. This is when somebody forgives you, and then you feel freed, and then you are ready to forgive somebody else. It's like the paying forward kind of situation. I mean, this is what we really want to work on a consistent basis, is the forgiving others, forgiving ourselves, and trusting that that our minds truly are connected, and that when you do these kind of inner decision, inner work, that this actually spreads out like a wave to the whole collective consciousness of our humanity. The forgiven are the means of atonement. This is 29b. The forgiven are the means of atonement. Let me just have a look if this is part of the Sparkly edition. Yes, that is also still in the Sparkly edition. The forgiven are filled with the soul. The forgiven are the means of atonement. Those released by Christ must join in releasing their brothers, for this is the plan of atonement. And it doesn't necessarily even mean that you need to go to somebody and says, I have forgiven you. It is just this consistent observation within yourself to figure out if you're able to forgive. I have got my issues at the moment with different things which are happening in the world, and especially religious ideologies. I have got great difficulties to forgive them. Because I'm a little bit scared of it, or a lot scared of it. So I have got difficulties to when I'm thinking about it, to engage with the Christ within. So my ego switches on, and I have got the difficulties to see the light within those people who are carrying this crazy ideology. And this is my challenge. This is something which I have to work on for myself. Yeah. So the forgiven are the means of atonement. Those released by Christ must join in releasing their brothers, for this is the plan of atonement. And then of course the question is, do we then push back? Do we have to physically push back where we can see that people are completely delusional? Well, I think that we have to kind of push back and say, we have got some sort of we have to protect the freedom which we have established, because if somebody else tramples on our freedom, there is no more further development. But the question is if you actually engage, if you actually ask for guidance from Spirit, from Christ, and this is what we're going to go through this now, is basically to know, do I push back or do I not push back? And there's always an answer to it that you can actually follow. So let's read what it says here. Now we're starting with the Miracle Principle 30, and this goes over 3 columns. This is a long one. Miracles are the way in which minds that serve the Spirit unite with Christ for salvation or release of all God's creations. All right, let's read this again. Miracles are the way in which minds that serve the Spirit unite with Christ for the salvation or release of all God's creations. And then it says 30b aside. Helen commented on awakening with the phrase, God is not mocked, with anticipation of punishment. So she was anticipating punishment because she felt that she had misunderstood it. So then it goes, by 30c, it goes interpretation. God is not mocked was intended as a reassurance to you. You are afraid that what you wrote last night was contradictory, conflicting with some earlier points, especially because you were writing while you were all doped up. Remember, God is not mocked under any circumstances. So she was doped up. What does that mean? Or she was maybe smoking something, maybe she was drinking, we don't know. But she was not in a clear mind, and so she felt guilty. And because she felt guilty, she woke up in the morning with the idea, or with the sentence in her mind, God is not mocked. And she took that as a warning of punishment, which is quite interesting, no? And then it goes on, the voice goes on, this is in 30d, it says, contradictions in my word mean lack of understanding or scribal failures, which I make every effort to correct. But they are still not crucial. The Bible has the same problem, I assure you, and is still being edited. Consider the power of my word in that it has withstood all the attacks of error and is the source of truth. Quite amazing, no? So then it goes, 30e is again an instruction to tell B, it's in brackets. Tell Bill that there are certain advantages in being a psychologist. A major one is the understanding of projection and the extent of its results. Possession is very closely related to projection. Let's repeat this again. Possession is very closely related to projection. Lucifer could be literally translated as light bearer. And here it goes in the footnotes, it goes, the Strong's definition and the translation used in the Revised Vision of God's New Version is morning star. So this is for Lucifer. All right, let's read this again. So it's talking about Lucifer, yeah. So a major one is the understanding of projection and the extent of its results. Possession is very closely related to projection, so the possession of the mind. Lucifer could be literally translated as the light bearer. He literally projected himself from heaven. He literally projected himself from heaven. What does that mean? I wanted to record this lesson yesterday evening, and I had to think about it several times. I couldn't get on with it because I just simply couldn't understand. I didn't understand, what does this mean? What do you mean he projected himself from heaven? So then if you assume that heaven is out there, so he projected himself from out there into here, into our life, into our space. But that's not what it means. It means that Lucifer projected himself from within the heaven, from within the kingdom, within himself. He projected himself outwards. Let's read that again. He literally projected himself from heaven. Projection still has this hurling connotation because it involves hurling something you do not want and regard as dangerous and frightening to someone else. This is the opposite of the golden rule, and having placed this rule upside down, the reverse of miracles or projection follows automatically. So what does it mean by upside down? It means that we have placed God without us. We have projected our God or our life, our spirit, and everything is projected outwards into the space we are perceiving with our senses. That is where we believe that that heaven is, and we are somehow outside. We can somehow be outside of that heaven, when as a matter of fact, heaven is within us, and this is the only way to perceive everything around us as heaven, is when we have discovered that kingdom of heaven within us. And that's why I like Qigong so much, because when you're moving Qigong, or especially when you do spiritual Qigong, the way I like to teach it, I can't teach it any other way, being a Course in Miracles teacher and student. So it is always about reminding yourself that the kingdom of heaven is inside it, that spirit is inside you, that love is inside you, that light is inside you. And then when you are remembering this, you becoming Christ yourself. Remembering Christ, you become Christ. We are all one. I'm listening, I'm hearing a lot of the Christians, a lot of people are awakening back to Christianity, which I think is wonderful and it's necessary. But they are constantly debating about whether Jesus said, I am God or not God, or I'm the Son of God, and so on. But what they are misunderstanding is what Jesus constantly was saying is that we are brothers. We are all brothers and sisters, so we are equal. They seem to have forgotten that particular part. And he's basically saying is that if I am the Son of God, so are you. And when you remember this within yourself, and you remember that you are the son, the child, the daughter of God, whatever name you want to give it. I mean, this is what we have. What we are really trying to learn as Course in Miracles students is that the meaning of the words, they're just pointing to truth. They are not truth itself. It's also why some ideologies, some people are so stuck up on the words that they completely forgot that it's not about the words. The words are just bridges of communication. And if you are, and if somebody is misunderstanding your word, it doesn't actually, that means that he is not in agreement with you. He just doesn't agree with the meaning of the word you're using. You see? So tell B that there are certain advantages in being a psychologist. A major one is the understanding of projection and the extent of its results. Possession is very closely related to projection. Lucifer could be literally translated as light bearer. He literally projected himself from heaven. Projection still has this hurling connotation because it involves hurling something you do not want and regard as dangerous and frightening to someone else. This is the opposite of the golden rule, and having placed this rule upside down, the reverse of miracle or projection follows automatically. And then I have put here 2 lines, very important, which is 30F. And it goes like this. The correction lies in accepting that it is true in yourself by bringing all that you are into the light. So everything which is making up that self, which you are perceiving as the self, whatever that may be. So it's my body, it's my breath, it's my awareness, my mind. Every single aspect which I perceive as myself, I'm bringing into the service of spirit. Let's read this one more time. The correction lies in accepting that it is what is true in yourself by bringing all that you are into light. And then Helen says in brackets, Helen fearful of writing next part. And then it says Casey, this is Edgar Casey, was wrong about possession, the voice says. So the voice says it, and Helen, she feels scared of actually writing this down. Let's read it again. Casey was wrong about possession, and he was also wrong about hurting himself. One of the major problems with miracle workers is that they are so sure that what they are doing is right because they know it stems from love, that they do not pause to let me establish my limits. And we are miracle workers, so we have to make sure that we do not pause. We have to allow ourselves to pause and let our spirit establish. It's basically spirit talking to us. Let spirit establish spirit's limits. We want to become aware. We want to be fully. Spirit wants to be incarnated. While what Casey, did came from me, he could not be induced to ask me each time whether I wanted him to perform this particular miracle. So the spirit could not induce Casey to actually ask each time whether spirit wanted him, or Christ wanted him to perform this particular miracle. If Casey had asked, he would not have performed any miracles that could not get through constructively, and would thus have saved himself unnecessary strain, and would thus have saved himself unnecessary strain. So listen to this: performed any miracles that could not get through constructively. So basically, you do not want to throw the pearls in front of the source. If the miracle principle cannot get through, and this is not something for us to judge, but if there is something happening within us, or something is occurring, like for example, I just had a problem with my tone and things, so I had to stop there, because whatever I was saying was not meant to come this way. So I have to trust the process. So if he had, he would not have performed any miracles that could not get through constructively, and would thus have saved himself unnecessary strain. He burned himself out with indiscriminate miracles, and to this extent did not fulfill his own full purpose, and was also subject to the scribal error I mentioned at the start. The disciples were also prone to this. So it's not like it's not going to happen to us. It happens to all of us, and we just need to question and train. And that's why I like to do Qigong, because Qigong refills the reservoirs with light, and you just better connect it. And now we come to 30H, where our reading started today. It says that like this: so the answer is, never perform a miracle without asking me if you should. This spares you from exhaustion, and because you act under direct communication, the trance becomes unnecessary. Trance, you don't need to get into trance to let God talk through you. You just basically need to connect, and in fully lucid state, allow that the voice comes through. Because it says, because miracles are expressions of love, it does not follow that they will always be effective. Not always are every miracle effective. It doesn't mean just because you are expressing love that it actually is affecting, it's arriving at the person at the time. It says here, I am the only one who can perform miracles indiscriminately. So Spirit, Christ, that light within you. I am the only one who can perform miracles indiscriminately, because I am the atonement. I am the atonement. You have a role in atonement. So this persona, which each one of us is, this persona you are and that persona I am, we all have a role in atonement, which I will dictate to you if you allow me to tell you. And we're going to pause it here. The rest of the principle number 30, which is then divided into several other lessons, 2 more lessons, 35 and 36, in the Foundation for Inner Peace and the Sparkly edition. Those ones we're going to read in the next lesson. And I just want to say special thanks to Sophia, I think from Canada. I think your husband is Greek. Thank you so much for contacting me, because you contacted me has inspired me to continue with it. And I can see that the reason why I couldn't get on with it at the time is because I wasn't ready to read this lesson. I wasn't ready to get to this through this scribal error hurdle, not understanding whether what I'm doing is actually right. I was a little bit thrown off it, and also there was other things I needed to do. So I'm thanking you very much that you actually did contact me, because sometimes when I cannot I cannot hear the voice, when I forget to hear the voice, when I forget to listen, when I forget to prepare because there's just too many things happening in my life, or I just stubbornly not practice the connection, then I trust that people will tell me what to do. People will contact me. People will say to me, do this or that. And maybe I have got a little bit of rejection within at the moment when I first time hear it. But then when I allow it to sink in, and when I allow the message to express itself within me, then I know that this is a message to me which I couldn't hear directly. So thank you so much. If you like this lesson, give me a like, share this with somebody who might actually wanna know about this, and please tell me in the comments what you think. What insights have you received? And don't forget to do Qigong with me. You're going to find here's the different links for you to actually try a Qigong class. And if you want to do A Course in Miracles with me, all the lessons I have recorded, and I have made Qigong classes for each particular lesson. Love, light and chi to you.